Right now on a South African car dealer's website, there is a 2022 Lamborghini Huracan STO. It's 4 years old, and I mean sure, it only has 7,000 kilometers on the clock, but it's listed for 16 million rands. And apparently, that's not a typo. That's not a scam listing, that's just how it works here, and you must just deal with it. And once you start looking, you realize this isn't a supercar normally, it's happening with literally everything. The new G90 M5, for example, that will cost you 2.8 million new, but you go to buy it second-hand and it's suddenly crossing 3 mil. 100 kilometers of driving and the car has gained 400,000 rands. I wanted to understand why, so I went down a rabbit hole into import law, tax codes and exchange rates. And what I found explains a lot more than just car prices. It explains why an entire country's relationship with cars is fundamentally different from places like the US, Europe, and even from other countries in Africa. Before a car ever reaches a South African showroom, it's already been hit 3 times. First, there's the import duty. If a car is built outside the EU, it gets taxed 25% on its value coming into the country. If it comes from the EU, it drops to 18% thanks to a trade agreement. Then there's value-added tax, which is 15%, and that's calculated on top of the vehicle's value plus that same import duty. And then, if the car is expensive enough, there's a third tax. Most people have never even heard of it. The ad valorem excise duty. It's a luxury tax, and it scales with the price of the car. The more expensive it is, the higher percentage you pay, up to a cap of 30%. And this is the one that really punishes supercars, and naturally so. I mean, it was designed to do exactly that. It's a tax built to make expensive cars proportionally more expensive. Stack those 3 on top of each other, and by the time a European-built performance car lands in South Africa, it's not just 25% more expensive than it was in Europe. It's compounded. Duty then VAT on the duty-inflated price. To make this easier to understand, I ran a simulation through Google. Simple question. If I wanted to import a 2 million rand BMW from Germany to South Africa, how much would I pay in total to get the car to my home in Pretoria? This is what it gave me. But here's the thing though, high new car prices in South Africa don't automatically explain why used cars refuse to lose value. In America, new cars are expensive too. A brand new Golf R in the US started at around $46,000, but 2 years later, that same car has already lost more than 50% of its value. And average used Golf Rs are trading for around $37,000, which is about $630,000. Here's that very same Huracan STO, going for half the price it goes for here in South Africa. So new cars being expensive isn't the disease. Clearly the rest of the world understands depreciation. The real disease is what happens after the car is sold. And that's where South Africa does something almost no other major car market does. You cannot import a used car into South Africa. Or rather, it's not cost effective to do so. Unlike how it is in the US or UK, the import of second-hand vehicles is restricted, specifically to protect the local motor manufacturing industry. If you're a returning South African citizen or permanent resident bringing back a car you already owned, if the vehicle is inherited, vintage, or a racing car. That's it. Think about what that means. In the United States, if the used car market in your city is expensive, someone can bring in inventory from another state. In the EU, a used car in Germany can be sold to a buyer in Portugal with barely any friction. But in South Africa, whatever used cars already exist within the country's borders is the entire supply, forever. There's no external valve, no fresh stock flowing in from cheaper markets to bring prices back down to earth. It's just you and them. Meanwhile, demand doesn't stop. People still need cars, families still grow, businesses still need fleet vehicles. So you've got a fixed, shrinking pool of used stock, because cars do eventually get written off, scrapped, or exported, against demand that just keeps climbing. That's a textbook recipe for prices staying artificially high. The Huracan example isn't really about Lamborghini specifically, it's about scarcity math. Lamborghini only builds so many Huracans a year, and only allocates so many to South Africa. In fact, there were only 14 Huracan STOs assigned to South Africa, and right now there is literally only one listed for sale in the entire country, for one of the most desired sports cars on earth. When a market is that thin, normal depreciation rules stop applying. There's no way to import a slightly cheaper Huracan sitting on a dealer lot in Germany or Florida, because the law won't let you bring it in. And it's the same story with pretty much every single car in South Africa. But how is that fair to the buyer? But I'll leave that to you to decide. South Africa isn't the only country that restricts imports. Most African nations do it in some form, usually through age limits. Kenya and Nigeria, for example, cap how old an imported used vehicle can be. But the country that makes the contrast obvious is New Zealand. New Zealand allows a huge flow of used Japanese import vehicles, right-hand drive, just like ours, with comparatively few restrictions. South Africa is also right-hand drive. We could theoretically tap into the same pool of used Japanese stock New Zealand does. We've simply chosen, by law, not to. And none of this is accidental. The import ban does exist after all to protect South Africa's local vehicle manufacturing industry, since the automotive sector employs a huge number of people domestically. But the side effect of that is that everyday buyers absorb the cost of that protection every single time they buy a car. Dealers benefit because they can price used stock close to new with total confidence. They know the buyer has nowhere to go. Banks benefit because at prime lending rate currently sitting at 10.5%, and higher purchase prices mean bigger loans, financed over longer terms, generating more interest over the life of the deal. The people who don't benefit, however, are the ones trying to get into the market for the first time. The buyers who assumed a used price tag meant a discount on the car, only to find that somehow it has, from 2005, only has 34,000 kilometers, 21 years later, and is priced at 82,000 rands. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this kind of content, and comment down below what you would like me to cover next.